his friend comes running down the pier and is just like, "Excuse me, Sue, I'm so sorry. I have to save my friend."
Yeah,
like
those were his words.
That
was the funniest part. He was like, "I need to save my friend."
Yes,
we're just like, "You go, bro. You go."
Yeah,
we got you from over here.
Yeah, we got out of the way. We offered words of support.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
That's about all we can do.
Hey everybody, I'm Stephen D. Roche.
And I'm Taylor Draper.
This is Dressing for Wellness, and today we'll be talking about our new Summertide collection, which, as of this podcast, has launched officially.
Officially this morning.
Mm-hmm. And we're just going to talk about the inspiration behind the designs and fabric choices and a little bit about the shoot as well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing how our first shoot went together.
Yeah.
It's technically our first shoot for the brand.
Yeah, officially.
Yep.
Well, since you want to just start there?
Let's
start there.
Let's start there.
Ask away.
Yeah. So how did it go? I mean, we shot just some background of the shoot. We basically did not have enough time to fully kind of plan it out like we wanted to because of COVID. Normally you'll see in our next release, with the fall release, like how we really want to do these releases moving forward. But this one kind of came about to be out of a need, and basically just a step forward for us as a brand to kind of get our feet wet, literally and figuratively, with this summer shoot. So, excuse me. But yeah, it's so we didn't have a ton of time to do it, but we found this really cool lake. We rented a boat. It was a really nice day until the afternoon.
When it poured
on us and our suits got soaked, but still looked cool.
It was still really cool.
Yeah, so just how did that experience go, being your first collection as the art director for Inherent?
I think it went really well. A couple things got lost in the cracks. I don't think we gave ourselves enough time. But the main thing I was focused on was keeping spirits high. I think a lot of what you'll see in the photos is a genuine liking of each other. And being out in the sun like all day and being on a boat, like kind of a confined space. I just didn't want anyone to like feel like I want to get out of here. I want to go home. I'm stressed or whatever. So my focus was to create an atmosphere that everyone would just have a fun time, like a day on the lake. And then we just happened to be photographing.
Yeah, totally.
One of the big things that you can't control is the weather. But we just rolled with it. And I think it was really good.
Yeah, I think it went really well too. We were almost done.
Yeah.
By the end of it,
Yeah, like so the first part of the day we were on this pier for like product shots and some lifestyle stuff, but we want to get the product shots out first because they're just really tedious. And then it was just all fun.
Yep.
Then we just hopped on the boat, but then the rain came about 2 hours early. It was supposed to start raining around 5, and around 2, it just poured.
Yeah.
Poured hard.
Yeah. I remember seeing a few people get like capsized that we were like genuinely worried about for a second.
There was a sailboat as we were coming back in that had tipped over because the wind was super strong.
Yeah.
So there was a rescue boat that was going out to go help them, which was good.
Yeah.
And then let's see, even on
the pier,
a kayaker, yeah.
Even on the pier, a kayaker got capsized like right behind our shoot, which was kind of funny. Yes. And we were all kind of just standing around the end of the pier, like, "Hey,
yeah,
do you need help? We can't do it because we were in suits, but we can try and help."
So we didn't know this at the time, but the water was super cold. And this dude was just in like shorts and a tank top and a life vest. And he was pulling 2 kayaks behind him because something caused him to tip over. I forget what he told us.
Yeah.
But yeah, his friend comes running down the pier and it's just like, "Excuse me, Sue, I'm so sorry. I have to save my friend."
Yeah.
Like
those
were his words.
That was the funniest part. He was like, "I need to save my friend."
Yes.
We're just like, "You go, bro. You go."
Yeah.
We got you from over here.
Yeah, we got out of the way. We offered words of support.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
That's about all we can do.
But I believe it went really well. I think it showed us showed me things that like I need to be more aware of in the future, time wise, and just like also like things I forget. You know, I think I missed one shot of one of the suits,
which is not bad.
That's not bad.
It just happened to be a very paramount shot that goes with our entire aesthetic of the site.
Yes.
So it's kind of collapsing around that one shot, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, you're joking.
I don't feel bad.
I feel kind of bad.
Because have you seen the site yet today?
Yes.
It's just like
the
pure
first
shot,
thing I
pure
looked
shot,
at.
lifestyle shot, pure shot.
It's the first thing I looked at when you texted me because so context for everyone listening. We launched today.
Today's July 8th. We launched at technically midnight, and pretty much everything went wrong at midnight.
Yes. And then Taylor texted me about 7 a.m., about half an hour after I woke up, and just like, "Hey, I can't find this photo of Adam at the end of the pier. Can you find that for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got you." And I look, and as I open the folders, it's all clicking in my head, and I'm just like, "Oh my God.
It's not going to be here.
It's not going to be there." And so I was just scrolling through, like willing it into existence. And I was like, I know I got everyone else's and it just wasn't there. And it was a huge bummer for me personally.
On a lighter side, I loved everyone's butt shots.
Yes.
But mine, I didn't have a butt shot.
Man, you didn't have a butt shot? You get the back pockets?
Mm-mm.
Well, we can do that.
We can do that.
We can work that in.
For all of our awesome listeners who've made it this far, we have to do back pant shots for the back pockets of the trousers, because sometimes I'll design the back pockets with flaps, sometimes no flaps, sometimes no buttons, sometimes basam, all that kind of stuff. So we have to get that photo. And it was just funny because like he had everyone's butt like perfectly in frame for everyone but me.
Well, we'll have to get it. That'll be a necessity.
So I'm glad the shoot went well. I think it went really well too. It felt really good I was just kind of a model stand-in for this one.
Yeah. As a CEO though, like being there, seeing how everything was working or not working, like how'd you feel the shoot went?
Yeah, I felt like it went really well. It kind of went by way faster than I was anticipating.
Me too.
So we kind of like geared this up with everyone, even all the other models and everything. Like, hey, this is going to be an all-day shoot. Like it takes 2.5 hours to get there just from where we're at here in town, all the way to this location. And then it was basically just like, be here 9:45. We had an itinerary. Like, I'm really happy with like how structured it was, because I wanted it to be so structured. So I was really happy with the structure of it. You guys had like the checklist, very professional the entire time. Like we were sticking to the schedule. We were just like way ahead of schedule. Yeah, like all day. So it went so well that it made me nervous because I didn't know how well it was going, I guess. Yeah. I was just like, we're like an hour and a half ahead of this schedule right now. Like, is this okay? Yeah. You know?
Yeah. I think like a lesson for me is like maximizing that time. Cause I think I know for me, I got super excited that we're way ahead of schedule, like all the stuff, and stuff still like fell through the cracks. And just like, I don't know, like side note completely, but like, how do you kind of avoid that from happening, even with lists and all that kind of stuff? Like, how do you keep those things straight?
It's always about processes, which I know you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it might be like new to like be abiding by processes and creating processes. But that's like the biggest thing that separates a professional organization than just one, like a fly by the seat of your pants organization.
Yeah.
And I've been a part of both for a very long time.
Yeah.
And just when you have things like itineraries and when you have things like lists and when you have like things scheduled out, it's, it goes so much smoother.
Yeah.
Specifically an actionary thing, like what you're asking is if, for example, this actually happened recently. So for example, I did a measurement on a client.
Yeah.
And I don't usually do measurements like a ton. We have people for that, but sometimes I just love doing it because it's fun.
Yeah.
So I was measuring this person. It was actually Andrew.
Okay.
It was when I was like practicing my measurements and stuff. So we scheduled like a legit appointment though. And I was measuring him and I have like the itinerary of how the appointment goes in my head.
Yeah.
And we were way ahead of schedule with the measurements.
Okay.
So I just was like, okay, let me just do it again. And so I just did everything again. And it still took the same amount of time I had scheduled.
Yeah.
And then I had 2 sets of measurements and there were some discrepancies, not like huge ones, but some of them were different by like a quarter of an inch, you know? So it's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe if you would have just done everything twice in a different like angle or something.
Yeah.
You know, like you had, because there was multiple piers there. We probably could have done them all twice in that same amount of time, I imagine.
Yeah. In hindsight, we definitely could have.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind because that's like having like the schedule, having it like planned. Like I guess for me, and this is something I didn't know until like now, essentially, that like I need one more step to like kind of help like fill in the gaps.
Yeah, maybe like a backup. Like if it would have taken the whole thing, it still would have been fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But because it didn't, you can always optimize it. But yeah, I think it's almost like that age old saying of just like shoot twice, record once, or like do twice, record once. So like I always tell the guys like measure twice, record once, you know?
That's very wise, I think, especially when you're like going,
yeah.
You know, like, I need to get this done, blah, blah, blah. Keep everything straight for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us how you designed this collection.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think that this collection is probably going to be very different from what I'm going to do moving forward.
In what way?
So it's a very mainstream collection. So it's not like, there's not a lot of like timelessness to this collection, which is something that I always intentionally try and do with our suits.
Yeah.
This one was like kind of very mainstream, and it was due to the inspiration that I think, which was like, man, we've been in quarantine for how many months? Like 3.5 by that point.
Yeah.
We've been in quarantine for 3.5 months. I like really just have this vision in my head of like bright colors and togetherness.
Yeah.
You know? And so when I was looking through the fabrics for that, I really just chose all of the brightest ones almost, you know? Like it's not like super loud bright. It's still like, you know, it's still a subtle and a good look, and I'm still, you know, every single suit can be worn in multiple different ways in multiple different occasions and still be fine.
Yeah.
But it's just like a little bit more of a mainstream kind of thing. Like it's very, like those colors specifically are very popular with like menswear.
Yeah.
I still like took it a little bit further with the texture of the fabrics and everything. And I'm a very texturized person when I design suits. Like I love to see the weave on the fabrics usually. And I love to see, even when I'm doing cotton suits, like I love doing the thicker twill ones because you can see the tight knit twill like in the suit. Like even for this one's a cotton suit that I'm wearing right now.
Cool.
And you can still see the texture in it. And I just love textures. So this one, that's why I chose like a linen blend with all of these fabrics.
Okay.
Is because you can see the texture and how it was milled.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. I'm excited about this collection because it's a very different collection than I've normally designed.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because it's so different.
Yeah.
And like the mainstream aspect of it, it's basically like taking the mainstream pieces that I really liked and then made them better.
Yeah.
You know?
When you're designing suit, which is like something I've never done, so I'm really fascinated to hear this answer. When you're designing the suit, like where do you pull inspiration from? Like specifically for this Summertide collection, like why did you pick that specific like sage green or that blush color? Like where did those come from? Was it just cool, or is that just what you're into, or like what was like the intention behind it?
Each piece came from a very specific place of inspiration. So with the sage green color, it actually came from me just looking at a bunch of landscapes when we were first like looking at landscape shots.
Yeah.
So it came from me looking at a bunch of landscapes
Cool.
and
So
once
nature.
I kind of, nature and like forestry and stuff like that. But once I kind of was like, okay, I really want a bright, like sun on a tree type green.
Yeah.
Then I specifically started looking through Instagram, Pinterest, everywhere.
Yeah.
Of just like green suits, you know, and like how people were styling them. And like, I kind of then took a inspiration step for that. And then like I was looking and say, what kind of fabric will set everything apart from what I'm seeing people design these green suits, you know, for
so
example.
not just a copy of what other people have done with like green fabric, but like this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And it's always authenticity for me. Like it needs to like come from the heart. I can't just like sit down and throw something together really quick and be proud of it.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be like from inspiration. So that's kind of how I did the green one. It ended up being like double breasted, which is something I didn't see a lot.
Cool.
So double breasted, 6 buttons on either side. It's a 6-on-2, so it means it can fasten with 2 buttons.
Now, some people might see the double breasted and think that might be our vintage style, but it's not. It's a cafe.
Yes, it is a cafe style. Yeah, because of the color specifically.
Okay.
So the vintage style, you wouldn't see that color in a vintage suit, you know? So that was the only differentiator between making it a cafe style, actually.
Cool.
So it technically could kind of swing either way, but true vintage fashion, historically, you would not see that color in a vintage collection.
So it's maybe more of an amalgamation of styles.
Right.
It's a big word. I'm sorry.
I love it. That's great.
But like just like a combination of like pulling references from like different styles to kind of make it a cafe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and once I figured it was cafe, the other cool thing about this whole collection is I made every single one unstructured and unlined.
For the uninitiated, what would that mean?
Yeah. So it means that there's no canvas in it. It's literally just the fabric.
Okay.
So it's just the fabric with a few reinforcement fabrics in between. So it's like so light, no like lining to it. Like I'm sure you've seen like lining in suits before. No lining. It's literally just the fabric.
Cool.
So it's really cool. It's very breathable. There's no structure in the shoulders except for the Modernist one. I always do lightly padded for that one. But there's no structure in the shoulders. It's all unstructured and uncanvassed.
Yeah. I want to hear more about the rest of the collection and how you chose the colors, but for like since we're talking about the like suits in summer, that could be like a light bulb for some people. Just like, oh, like I can wear a suit in summer. Like before you showed me the designs, I never knew that you could have an unstructured or unlined suit jacket to kind of keep you a little cooler.
Yeah, totally. No, that's a good point. It's a good point because and again, it just goes back to something that we've said and I say all the time, which is there's no education with menswear anymore. So that's not something that the average man would know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's really unfortunate. And sometimes I forget about that because I'm so into the industry and I read a book a week on this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's tough for me to to remember that, I had to very, very intentionally teach myself these things. But yeah, that's a great point. Like there is so many different ways to make a suit and so many different ways to style it and so many different ways historically that these kind of things come from, especially with fabric weight. There's actually like a very loose guide on like fabric weight for different seasons.
Yeah. That's another episode.
Sure. But so it's great. Yeah. So in the summer, you can have like an unlined suit and still dress it up or dress it down. And one of the things I love about this shoot that we just did is we showed the durability of it.
Yeah.
So you get to see in our photos like us rolling up the sleeves of the suit and like beating it up a little bit. Like they're made to be worn. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like we were wearing the crap out of them. Yeah. We were like rolling up our trouser legs and we were rolling up our sleeves and just like goofing around, and it still looked great. Yeah. And I didn't get hot one time that whole shoot, and it was like 90 degrees outside.
Yeah, it was very warm.
Yeah, and it was nice because we were wearing linen shirts, which also a new addition to this collection is the linen shirts. We've never done shirts before. Yeah. So I introduced a three set of linen shirts, so like a white, a powder blue, and a pink. Yeah. Basically all the summer shirts you need. Yeah, essentially. Yeah. And no, it was fun, man. Like it's the unlined suit and the unstructured suit just gives it takes all the guts kind of out of it, while still, because we handcraft the suits specifically, like you get that really nice tailored look still. Yeah. While reaping the benefits of having no guts to the suit. Yeah. That's awesome. Like for anyone out there that didn't think like suits in summer was a thing or practical, like we got you covered. Yeah. Our PR firm wrote this line that said from boardroom to boardwalk, from boardroom to boardwalk. And I thought that was so cool. That was a good line. I remember reading that release and I was like, oh, that's it. That's cool. And I do feel like we captured that in the shoot. We really did. Yeah. And that was very encouraging. Getting back to the designing of the collection. Sure. Tell us about the Modernist style that you designed. Yeah, so that's a blush one. I actually got inspired from a vintage wedding. Okay. So I was looking up, just looking up wedding photos to get inspired for a future project I'd love to do, which is like a formal wear project. Nice. So I was looking at that and I saw this really cool 1940s like vintage wedding in a desert. Whoa. So it was like summertime, obviously, and like it was like under this huge pavilion, and just everyone was just dressed so well, and the groomsmen were all wearing this like blush color. Cool. Which I feel like is kind of a mainstream color now for like summer colors. Yeah. So I was just very inspired by it, and I was like, okay, I could design this into like a modernist style that's very like appealing. It's actually really funny because when I was showing the fabrics to all of our friends that like helped us model this, everyone wanted to wear that one. Yeah. Everybody. It's my favorite color in the collection. Yeah. Why did you choose that color specifically for the Modernist style? Yeah, that one, it was a little bit tough because the Modernist is usually a very contemporary kind of collection, or style, I mean. Yeah. But I just really believed that this could represent it still. Because it's a solid color. It's a very pulled back blush. It's not like pink. Yeah. It's very subtle. Very subtle like pink. It's basically just a light maroon. Which is perfect for the modern gentleman, I felt. I felt like you could wear that, again, to a boardroom and just you would stand out a little bit, but it still wouldn't be out of place. Yeah. And explain that concept of like it suiting them, the modern gentleman. Yeah, I mean, so of course we all know that the world is a lot more casual now than it was. So like a lot of these rules, aren't so rigid with suits anymore. Yeah. So there's still going to be some people in professional in professional environments that can't wear that color specifically, like bankers and things like that.
Sure.
So this one, they might have to kind of look away from that specific suit, but normally they would fall in the Modernist collection.
Yeah.
But I kind of just wanted to break out and say like, hey, Modernists, like you can also wear a lighter color. And I just felt after doing a lot of research too, that just because of the amount of casual vibe that we have nowadays, like it would still work really well for most jobs,
Yeah. That's awesome. What about the vintage style?
The vintage style is my favorite suit I've designed to date.
Okay.
And I've designed quite a few suits. But the vintage style for this collection specifically is my favorite one to date. So I went ham on the research on this.
Yeah.
So I was looking through, I was going to do a seersucker.
Okay.
Which is, for people that don't know, it's like a naturally micro wrinkled cotton suit. It looks really cool, and it's found a lot of times in the Kentucky Derby. Like that's where it got, its start from.
Yeah.
So I was looking at Kentucky Derby, just events from all different time periods.
Okay.
And I saw one gentleman, I don't know his name or anything. He's not like a popular person. It was just in one of these like old photographs.
Yeah.
But he was wearing a cream suit, really, really wide notch lapels, 3-button. And then he had inverted pleats on all pockets in the back. And I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I basically took that inspiration and designed this really cool like hop sack, which is like a wide weave fabric. So it's very texturized. But I did this hop sack off-white fabric with, it's kind of like a line on the top of all the pockets and then an inverted pleat like down the center of each pocket.
Yeah.
And then I also added an inverted back pleat too.
Yeah.
Or it's really cool looking. And then that one has a ticket pocket as well. And then I just was thinking,
so old school.
So old school, yeah. So old school, and it was just really fun. It's really fun. And then the inside, I did a pink quarter lining, so that's why that's the only one that's lined a little bit.
Yeah,
is because a quarter lining just means that it's only on the jacket flaps and not on the back of the jacket. No lining on the back.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I was so excited about that one, and that's the one that's gotten the most kind of buzz so far.
Yeah.
We've only been released a day, but it's gotten a lot of buzz so far. And
it's such a unique look.
Yeah,
like you don't see suits like that anymore, like at all.
Yeah,
and so like,
but it works still.
It's like,
which is the fun part.
Like if you look at the photos, like our model Adam is wearing a Chicago Cubs baseball cap as well, like in some of the photos.
I'd love to tell you about that style inspiration too.
Oh my God. Like, you want to do that now? Let's talk about it now.
Yeah, totally. So, but one thing I do want to say really quick too about that suit design is the buttons really anchor it.
Yeah.
And that's not something that like, I think you might notice unless like the designer told you.
Sure.
Which is, because it's almost like a maroon tinted button. It's called a chili button. So it's like it's the lightest type of brown that we have in a button that it almost looks a little bit red sometimes. So it's really cool.
Now that you say it, I'm remembering like going through the photos and like they didn't quite look the same in different light. Like in different light, it would take on like a certain like color characteristic. Like even just a few moments before. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I love those buttons on that suit because you basically just have this like white canvas for the actual suit, with amazing suit details, of course, like we were talking about, but like the little spots of color because it's a 3-button suit and most standard nowadays is a 2-button, single breasted. Because it's 3, you see more of it, and especially with the ticket pocket, you see more of it than you would normally. Yeah.
That's an amazing detail that like, is just like, wow, it's like like coming to life as you're describing it. That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. I love that suit so much. It's such a blast to design.
Tell us about the baseball cap.
Yeah, so
We didn't make the baseball cap.
We didn't make the baseball cap, no, but I knew I wanted, because that suit specifically is a little bit higher end, you know, than like you wouldn't, looking at that suit, you wouldn't think you could go casual with it, but you really can.
Yeah.
And like I tried to show that with the baseball cap, and I got the inspiration from at JFK_man, who wrote this book called This Guy. And there was an art director from France in there, and I'm so sorry I can't remember his name. But I saw him wear in that book a baseball cap with a denim trucker jacket over a pinstripe double-breasted suit with a turtleneck. And it was the coolest look I've ever seen.
And his hat was like bright green, which, like, if you're anything like me, didn't click until you saw it.
Yeah.
And I feel like we accomplished the same thing with this Chicago Cubs hat that Adam was wearing.
Yep, to bright blue and red.
Yep. And was it like he's wearing a yellow ascot?
Yep.
And pink, one of our pink shirts.
Yeah, he's wearing the pink linen shirt that we designed. So it was such a cool look, and his look specifically stands out more than all of the rest of ours, I think, which is just really cool because of the baseball hat and the ascot and the pink shirt, and he still made it look so casual. Yeah, which is what I love about Adam wearing clothes, because he just always, no matter what that dude wears. Yeah,
it's stupid effortless.
I know, it's stupid effortless. Yes. And that's why I designed it for him, because I was like, I know, like, this is my vision for the suit, is not to be put into a box of aristocratic events only. Yeah. This is a suit that you can literally wear at any time. Yeah. You just have to know how to wear it, you know? And so that's one of the ways I want to show, like, put a baseball cap with it. Yeah. Still throw on an ascot. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, and it works.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's cool.
What about let's talk about the timeless style, Jazz's suit.
Yeah, the timeless style. With this one, I was so inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement, actually. And like one of my mentors, Jay, his name's Jay Gatz.
Shout out Jay Gatz.
Shout out Jay Gatz. Yeah, so he was teaching me about just black menswear and style, because I was asking questions and wanted to learn more about the history of it. And so he was like teaching me all this kind of stuff about it. And it just happened to be right before I was designing this collection. And so actually, I guess it was a little bit before the Black Lives Matter then, to be honest. I think it was probably like a month before, maybe a little bit less, maybe a few weeks before.
Everything popped off.
Before everything kind of popped off, I was like asking him to teach me more about the cultural side of black menswear. Yeah. So I was really interested in it. And I think there's so many incredible just champions of black menswear that we don't talk about very often. Yeah. Like
could you name a few?
Yeah, like Nat King Cole and Miles Davis and Quincy Jones. Just a lot of incredible musicians, and all three of those guys are musicians.
Icons.
And Sammy Davis Jr., of course, in the Rat Pack. But yeah, it was, so I was like asking him to teach me the cultural history behind it and all this kind of stuff. So he was just sending me lots and lots of inspirational images of like groups of just incredibly dressed black guys. Yeah. And I was just like, and a lot of them had this like tan like look to complement their complexion, which I thought was so cool.
Very cool.
So I got inspired with like a tan that would work on anyone. And you know, knowing that Chaz was going to model it, he's a black gentleman, and was just like, how can I get this fabric that will still complement everybody, but will look incredible on Chaz? Yeah. You know? Yeah. So like that's what I did. I dressed Chaz up in it's like a very light tan linen wool silk blend, like all of them, with a really wide white window pane. So that's why I put him with the white Panama hat. Yeah. And then a white linen shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah, but that one was really fun to design too, because it was kind of me just saying like, I am not an expert in menswear, and then me saying I'm not even close to an expert in cultural menswear of any kind.
Yeah.
So
Such a distinction between menswear proper, air quotes, and cultural menswear, culture specific menswear. That's something that like I'd love to hear more about in the future.
Yeah, totally. I mean, even just to speak on it really quickly, a lot of these incredible suit designers and like menswear designers right now are I think we don't realize that they're culturally like cuckolded, because like Rubinacci, an amazing guy. I've talked to him on Instagram a few times and super incredible dude. One of the best Italian designers that there is. I'm sure most people know about him.
Yeah.
But he's an expert in Italian culture, and people look at him and say he's an expert in all of menswear. I'm sure he'll hold his own in all of menswear, sure, but like specifically Italian, like his family has been doing tailoring for generations, and it's not something that we really consider. When we look at him, we're just like, he makes incredible suits and menswear, when we should actually just say he makes incredible Italian style suits and menswear, Italian style menswear.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Savile Row. They make incredible English style suits and menswear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas Americans, like we have to adopt the black culture into our menswear design. And it's not something that's happening.
Yeah.
And it's really sad.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to just learn as much as I can and collaborate with some of these really incredible clothiers.
Yeah.
These black clothier owners that can design incredible suits, and learn more about the culture.
That's awesome.
Just want to learn more about it,
Yeah. Cause I mean, like culturally you think of man in suit, white guy,
Sure.
So like maybe like trying to like make that not such a distinction.
Sure. And it's not something that you should take offense to about the cultural thing too. Like you should be like Rubinacci should be so proud that he's mastered the Italian tailoring style,
Right.
He should be so
not shaming like you should know this. It's just like this person does this specific
You're
style.
Italian. Your family is Italian. Like this is what you do and that's what you should own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same, like I'm never going to own that I can do black menswear. You know what I mean? I'm a white guy.
But
like,
to incorporate it.
To be able to incorporate it is something different, and being able to incorporate it from knowledgeable individuals that have experience in that, and that is their culture, and learn from them is what I want to do.
Awesome. I think that's huge. I don't know of any other suit company or brand, even specifically like in any necessary like genre of clothing, that would take that like intentionality in like designing a piece. Like I'm just not aware of one.
True.
So
and it might just be because I'm so novice,
right.
Right. And then I'm just like, I want to learn everyone's cultures and celebrate everyone's cultures differently. Like if I make an Italian suit, I want to celebrate the Italian culture. If I make a black suit, like from a black kind of culture background, I want to celebrate that culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really special. And I think that's awesome. And I think just as your friend, you should keep doing that.
Yeah.
So I think it's super important.
Thanks. Yeah, always. I always want to learn more about everyone's cultures. And that's the thing that I also hate, not to get, I guess, too much down the racist path, I guess, but I just hate when people say they're colorblind.
Yeah.
Because that's such an offense to culture.
Yeah.
It
is.
Like, you should not be colorblind. You should just be a good person and know that we all came from different cultures, and and especially America's a melting pot.
Well, to see color, see a person of color, see different cultures, and value that.
Yeah.
As like, no, like this is like black culture, and it's beautiful and it's amazing, and like it doesn't need my help. But like this is incredible on its own. Like see the color. Yeah. See color, see people of color, and like, cause like the whole thing of like all lives matter.
Oh God.
And we're going on kind of a tangent, but I think it's important to say that like all lives do indeed matter, but until black lives
also
matter the same as anyone else, then all lives don't truly matter yet.
Right.
You know, like there needs to be that equality. That thing, like if you like you don't necessarily see like, oh, black people, but it's just these are people and they happen to be black and they have just as much value as you and me.
Yeah, and they come from an incredible culture that we,
appropriate all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. On that note, sorry everybody. I'm not sorry. It's stuff that matters.
It is.
We need to talk about it. And it's relevant in our lives today, especially with like the timeless design. Like I had no idea that's where that came from. That's incredible.
Yeah, totally.
And like, as your friend, I commend you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Moving on to the final suit is another cafe style. There's two in this collection.
Yep, we did 2 in this collection, mainly because it's actually a logistical reason why there's 2 cafe styles, 2 cafe suits. Normally we only do 4 suits per collection, but this time we did 5. The reason for that was because the 5th one was actually the vintage one that we just got done talking about, the off-white.
Yeah.
And I had designed that for spring, but because COVID happened, we didn't do a spring launch. And that design was so special to me that I needed to bring it into this launch, and it still works as a summer suit. It's summer, 100%. Spring. All of these suits, I think you could do spring and summer.
Yeah.
But so I was just like, all right, we need to bring in the vintage over. Like, what's another for summer specifically? I was like, we need another cafe because to me, cafe is summer.
Can you kind of expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, like the cafe lifestyle, like each one of our inherent styles has like a lifestyle attached to it in my head.
Yep.
And each one has an ethos. And to me, the cafe guys are like the guys that, like specifically in summer, wear like plaid, suits, which is why a lot of these cafe styles are plaid patterned.
Yeah.
And like wear plaid suits and like go from cafe to cafe on their cafe racers or like scooters and things like that. It's a very European thing to do, but that was a huge in the 50s and 60s over in France. You'd have these little groups of like scooter riders or cafe motorcycle riders, and they would just go to cafe all day.
Yeah.
That's like their whole lives,
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. And not to delve too much into the history, there's always like a cafe racer versus like scooter club kind of, antithesis. But just saying that because I do know my history, I'm not like trying to just meld these two things together, which we can respect those things. But for the sake of this conversation, that's where the cafe kind of ethos comes from, is both of their lifestyles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just see them with suits and going to different cafes all day. And so to me, that's a very summer thing to do. Like you do that in the summer. Like that's when I love riding my motorcycle is the summer. That's my favorite time to do it. Yeah. Not going to do it in the winter.
Well, especially in Colorado, you can't.
No, you literally can't. Yeah.
That's awesome. And what fabric did you use for that?
So the one we talked about first was the double-breasted green one. That's one of the cafe styles. This other one is a really amazing like baby blue with navy and mint green plaid striped.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool because like the base of the suit is baby blue, and then there's like dark navy lines on it, and then there's light mint green like over checks to it. So it's amazing. It's a really cool pattern. And and it kind of anchored the whole collection together because it was actually the last one I designed in the collection, because I had the vintage one, I had the double-breasted cafe, I had the timeless one, and I had the modernist one. Yeah. And I was like, what? I was like, I know blue is missing in this color palette. Yeah. But it has to be a special blue to like just complement everybody else. So that's why if you notice while you're editing the pictures, I'm sure, is that whenever Ian, the guy that modeled this suit specifically, was in the shot, it really more complimented everyone else. It kind of did. It kind of took the focus off him and like accentuated everybody else. Yeah, and I was just going to say that like it really did like elevate whoever else was in the photo with them. Not that anyone was like a schlump or anything like that. No, not at all. But it's just like it was such a complimentary color that like
went, because I think we have photos of him with every single other person on the shoot.
Yeah.
Man, those are some of my favorites.
Yeah,
just because like with the mountains and the water, and like then like the suits just pop, and like
right.
when they're like, there's a couple of photos with like everyone in them.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's amazing. It truly is like special.
Yeah. So that's exactly how I designed that one. Is I was looking, it was the last one I had to design in the collection. And I was like, I really need this to be the supporter of the rest of the collection.
Yeah.
So it didn't come from a specific like photograph or like event or something like the rest of them did. It came from wanting to just anchor everyone else.
Yeah.
But in doing so, it kind of individualized this one suit as well. So I loved how it turned out. Like the mint green window pane, like part of it was just such a cool thing that I've like never seen before, but it was so subtle that it worked. You know, it wasn't obnoxious whatsoever, but it still was a cafe suit and it still was beautiful, you know?
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Like I saw on the notes of the suits that there was a mint green check in there, or was it over?
It's technically a plaid pattern. But the mint stripe is just the thinner one that kind of like overlays over the navy one.
Yeah.
So
it's such a minute detail.
Yeah.
Like it's almost barely there, but it is so cool. And just, I think, complements the blue and the yellow all together.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I think that, like, this is just a random thought I had, that might help to, like, that's why it complements so well, because it has like little touches of all the other like kind of colors that were in the different suits.
Yeah, totally.
And that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks for sharing about your inspiration about this collection. It's awesome to be able to hear where these come from. Nothing's arbitrary about it. And that's incredible. Do you have any final thoughts or comments about the collection?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this collection was so fun for all the reasons that I mentioned about designing it, but it's also really cool because I really want to give this collection to people as like, hey, like let this represent the fun side of coming out of COVID, you know?
Yeah.
Or if we have to go back into quarantine, like whenever that happens again, you know what I mean? And we tried to make it more accessible by adding the shirts, and we added like a 3-pack of all 3 of them, or we can do them as separates. And again, these are all like custom made shirts. So, you know, if you've never had a custom made shirt, they're amazing.
I haven't. I'm waiting. I'm ready.
Okay. We'll get you one. Yeah. And we also introduced the ability to purchase the suits as separates. So if you just wanted the jacket of one of them, or just wanted the trousers of another one, or you wanted to mix and match, you finally have the ability to do that.
Cool. That's huge.
Yeah, totally.
The Summertide collection, Inherent Clothier Summertide collection, is available now at www.inherentclothier.com. Any other thoughts before we go?
I don't think so. Just stay healthy. Stay well.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next time.